Okay, Shrek fan 1234, number one. Obviously the best username you can have, so makes you immediately trust any review they give. 4 stars. I've never seen Liam Neeson smile this much. It's startling. Well, that's fair, but I guess they're forgetting about Love Actually, where he's very sweet to his little son. His little son's going to play the drums and fall in love. He gives him lots of very earnest smiles in that film.
Aren't you a bit young to be in love?
No.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Akiva Schaffer. I am the director and one of the co-writers of the new Naked Gun movie, and I'm here to look at the Letterboxd reviews and see some nice ones and maybe some not so nice ones. So let's just dig right in here. I've got them in front of me. This is Zach, 5 stars. So immediately, I'm a Zack Attack guy. This is easily the funniest movie of the decade, too kind, and I don't think anything will top it. I cried from laughing. I have a total 6-pack now, and there were multiple times I could not recover to hear the next gag or scene. If this movie doesn't succeed, then we deserve the most depressing movies for the next decade. Oh, that's a dark wish, Zach. So he's got a 6-pack. That's from his stomach muscles tightening over the course of 85 minutes. So I'm going to assume he had a solid base he was working with, because in my experience, you don't get there from just one really heavy, great session.
It says you served 20 years for man's laughter.
You mean manslaughter?
Must have been quite the joke.
When it's that nice, what can I say? But thank you, Zach, and I really appreciate it. And this dark wish at the end for everybody that if it doesn't succeed, we deserve the most depressing movie. But I like it's we. And he's considering himself part of humanity, and that's my prime audience member, is somebody with a sense of responsibility. So thank you, Zach. Okay, Fran gave it 4.5, which is still just a really high score. I'm crying. They got Starship, Season 3, Episode 16, Doppelgangland, bowling pins falling over, sound effect when the guy takes a tumble. I'm pretty sure that Sandberg's face is there for 0.7 seconds. Someone else confirmed this for me, though. Thank you, Akiva. 3 crying emoji, laughing, or just crying. Actually, just weeping. Starship refers to a song that's from the Mannequin soundtrack, which is Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, which has just been a favorite of mine since Mannequin came out, and is really good for this because it's a duet with a man's voice and a woman's voice, and just had the right rhythm. And to be perfectly honest, we had like a vague version of the montage, and we just put like 30 different songs to it because I knew when we got the one that was gonna fit, it would feel good, and then I'd re-edit the whole thing to be more music video-y, just with the rhythms. And Starship won. And is it a positive that it's from a movie about an inanimate object coming to life? I think that that's probably good, but also I wasn't sure because I was like, well, that's an unintended overlap or coincidence or spoof, I guess. But we're not spoofing Mannequin. Doppelgangland. It's Willow meets her doppelganger episode. Dan Greger, one of my co-writers, was like, how about Buffy? And he knew about Buffy. And then even he didn't quite know enough, so I called Drew Goddard because he worked on Buffy. And I made sure that we were getting our facts straight.
Alone at last.
I'm pretty sure Sandberg's face is in there for 0.7 seconds. It's not. I'm sorry. I'd be curious who you thought looked like him, though, because it's probably pretty funny. His voice is in there, though, for 0.7 seconds. Maybe even less. I put Yorma's voice in, and I put Andy's voice in. But you'll have to find them. Brett writes, 4 stars. Can't believe the strategy of cast whoever's name sounds the most like Leslie Nielsen's paid off. Yeah, it's weird. That's how I would cast most things, honestly. Just rhymes and kind of tongue twisters. It's a great way to do it. So on these scripts from draft 1 that we turned in the studio, we made a cover page. And I had this woman, Alney Atwell, who's done design for us on everything from Pop Star to I Think You Should Leave to a bunch of things. I had her make me a cover page that was just the original Naked Gun poster with a clear piece of Scotch tape with Liam's face over Leslie's, and then Leslie's name crossed out with Liam's underneath. That really accentuated how they're essentially the same name. And I always thought marketing might lean into that, but they didn't. They left it to you, Brett. I mean, the skill of Naked Gun style movie, a Zaz movie where it's dramatic actors playing it real. People think that they have to play it straight, which means never with a smile on their face. But for the few actors who are really great at it, like Pam and Liam, they can play every human emotion because they're just playing it real. So he can smile and you still don't think he's in on the joke. He's just being earnestly that stupid. And that is, you'd be shocked what Oscar-winning actors could not pull that off. It is a rare skill. All right, Joshua writes 4 stars. Again, 4 stars feels completely like that's what I would give it, that's fair. You got to leave room for The Godfather. You got to leave room. An extra star because the woman behind us was laughing riotously at every single gag and infected the whole theater with her joy. God bless you, lady. If I ever make a comedy, I pray you're in the audience. Well, that is very nice. Thank you. That is a thing that people talk about how sometimes people need permission to laugh and need to hear a crowd around them. And it also lets them know if there's a joke that they didn't get, that there was a joke there. They didn't just think, wow, there's been no joke for a minute, because they hear everyone else go laugh and go, oh, there was a reference I didn't know. It's why they put laugh tracks on sitcoms for 40 years. But I will warn you that sometimes a really loud laugher can actually chill the audience if everybody hears them and goes, ugh, I don't want to be like that guy. That guy's annoying. And then you actually clam up a bit. And everything they laugh at, you kind of go, it's not that funny. And it actually makes you not laugh at things you maybe would have laughed at. So you're playing with fire, getting a loud laugher in there.
Is she serious?
Is he serious?
No.
All right, Justin, 4 stars. I knew going in that this was going to be funny, but nothing could have prepared me for the most exciting threesome in American cinema since Wild Things. Ooh, a Wild Things reference. Thank you, Justin, for thinking that it was exciting. I agree that I tried to infuse it with excitement, and that Liam and Pam were excited to film it as well as worried about it. The first Naked Gun movie has one of the best movie love montages ever. It was 1988. The cheesy love montage that feels like a month has passed, but somehow in the story, very little time has passed, but now they're in love, was a trope of serious movies and comedies genre. And so they did a great spoof where not only does it have amazing jokes, like you watch them coming out of a movie and they're just laughing their heads off, and then it reveals that it was Platoon, or, it starts with practicing safe sex and they're in condoms that go from their head to their feet. Every part of it's memorable. But since then, there has been 30 years of montages and comedies making fun of montages. So we just knew we needed something unexpected if we were even going to do a montage. But we got to the point in the love story where a montage was warranted. So we gave ourselves the challenge of, we're only putting one in if we can think of something new. And we had come to a few dead ends and it was just percolating. And then one night I just woke up at 4 a.m. and wrote the whole thing down in bullet points and gave it to Dan and Doug, and they read it in the morning, and it really didn't change very much except for production reasons of like scale. At one point it was $1 million in the budget for a CG snowman, and we were like, it's a puppet, it's a mascot costume, and we had to really talk them down because it was going to be cut. Basically, they were like, it's $1 million, you got to cut it out of the script. No one was ever going to actually pay $1 million, make no mistake. And finally, we got the Jim Henson Company, New York branch, on the phone. They put up a little proposal. It was exactly what we needed. And of course, Letterboxd users, it was a reference vaguely to the film Jack Frost. There are 2 Jack Frosts. One has a CG snowman. It was not that one. It was the one with the snowman that looks a lot like our snowman. But yeah, and it was such a thrill. Every day on set, we did 2 days where that puppet was around, and this woman would get in it and have to move it around, and another guy's doing the eyebrows, and it was the best. Sydney, 3.5 stars. Okay, so we're going down here. 3.5, I would still say 3.5 out of 5. For a spoof comedy, that's probably right where it belongs. But, I'll take the 4s. I'll take the 4.5s. The 5s just bless you forever. But 3.5 is, it's probably what Austin Powers has a lot of, and that's one of the best there ever was. Okay, I think it's very funny that they had Lorne Balfe riff on his own Mission Impossible score for this, LMAO. So first off, thanks for not putting the F in there, for just keeping it nice and PG-13 even for the LM Ayo. I was so excited when Lauren Balfe said yes. So he did Mission Impossible Fallout and the next one as well, Dead Reckoning. But Fallout specifically, when we were temp scoring, so when you make a movie, you're in the editing room, you don't have music yet. You choose from all of human history of the scores that you love the most that fit. And then you can kind of feel those references kind of seep into the movie. But I kept going back to Mission Impossible Fallout because it's my favorite of the Mission Impossibles, and it's probably one of my favorite action movies of all time. I mean, it definitely is. It might be the best one ever. Anyways, so at a certain point we needed a composer, and they were like, who do you want? And I was like, the guy who did this stuff. And I was so lucky that he was a fan of the original movies and did it for way cheaper than his normal rate and did it for the love of doing it. And hearing him do a score that had those big boom, bassy, crazy hits. The soundtrack is out now. You can go stream it on anything. And if you put that on in your car and somebody's like, oh, what's the soundtrack? They would never in a million years guess it's Naked Gun. It just sounds like every, Lorne, Hans Zimmer, but also like Jerry Goldsmith. Jerry Goldsmith did Chinatown, LA Confidential, Basic Instinct, we're just trying to be in that vibe. Clara, 3.5. Pamela Anderson says something in this that, because I Am Me, felt so Alma from Phantom Thread coded. There is no way it was meant to be interpreted in this way. Loved every single moment where she was on screen so much. Alma, on the receipt when they meet in the little cafe she works in that he stops and orders a bunch of different food, she says, for my hungry boy, I believe, on the receipt. And there is a scene in our movie where it's Double Indemnity style dialogue, where they're having this little tit for tat, sexy, double entendre, ridiculous dialogue. And at the end, he says something like, as long as you don't mind if I get salmonella. And she says, mind it? I prefer it. I like a sick little boy. And I'm assuming that was it. Also, Alma, no, all right, now if you haven't seen Phantom Thread, this would now be a spoiler for Phantom Thread. So I'm going to give up a pause for you to not listen to the next thing. You're like scrambling for the pause button to not, because this is a big spoiler. It'll ruin it. You can't. All right, in Phantom Thread, there is a food poisoning thread through it. It's the Phantom. I'll have to ask Paul about that. But I think that is the Phantom, and that's the thread. I'm just kidding about that. But it's poisonous mushrooms. So that's another foodborne illness. And she said, for my hungry little boy. And then she feeds him poisonous mushrooms, and he gets really sick. And then by the end, he kind of likes it. That sick fuck. All right, Mina, 3.5. LOL, perhaps even LMAO. Okay, we're building up. Maybe someone will give an LMFAO. Funniest end titles gag credits since Von Trier listed a female researcher as his misogyny consultant at the end of Antichrist. I did not know that happened. And is that an intentional joke? I never saw Antichrist, and so I don't even want to wade in. This also feels like a sticky little goo to get stuck in that I don't want anything to do with. In this day and age, 2025, I'm not commenting. So no comment, Mina. But I will say, doing joke and credits is part of the Zaz legacy. Zaz is David and Jerry, the brothers Zucker, and Jim Abrahams, who were a comedy trio, plus people don't include Pat Proft a lot, but Pat Proft was part of Police Squad and then Naked Gun world. And then later, Pat Proft and Jim Abrahams made the Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2. And so in part of all those movies, from Airplane, Top Secret, Naked Guns, they have fake credits mixed in with the real ones. And so we knew we owed that as part of our challenge. There's a lot of things from those old movies we did not bring forward into this, and a lot that we did. And it was just up to taste of how I wanted to honor the spirit and the funny jokes and the stuff that they did, but also not just make this a Mad Libs facsimile kind of forgettable, hopefully, legacy sequel.
Hey, Daddy, it's me, Frank Jr. Love you. Hey, Dad. Boy, do I miss you.
Abandoned Chimp writes 3 stars. So now we're getting, this is a little bit more, mixed positive. Anybody have tickets to Weird Al's Doomsday Giggle Bunker Room gig? Couldn't score them on Ticketmaster or StubHub. I mean, that's just a joke, and sure, I like it. The Letterboxd community is a community, and there's room for all kinds of reviews, and sometimes you just have something clever to write, and maybe you'll get some, rated high, because you're writing a review, but then your fellow community members rate your review. And so sometimes it's your own little show, and isn't that nice? That's the internet that I want to live in. Okay, now we've gotten to the bottom. Ahmad, 1 star. God bless the people that find this funny. What a good attitude to take. Comedy is subjective. What's funny to me might not be funny to you. Even within the professional criticism, not to say that this wasn't professional criticism, but even within that realm, there are, for every review that says the snowman's the funniest thing in the movie, I can find you a review that says the snowman should never have been in the movie. And they're both right for themselves, It was a swing that maybe Zaz never would have done, and I would have. And I wanted there to be room for that. If I held myself only to things they would have done, then you should just go watch the old movies. This fella, Ahmad, found none of it funny. Maybe he found one joke. Can you do 0 stars? He's being sarcastic. I know he's being sarcastic. It's a little, rude, but I have a feeling if I saw the stuff Ahmad makes, maybe I wouldn't like it either. So it's an agree to disagree. Or maybe I would, and then I'd be a little sadder. Maybe I'll click his link later and see what he does for a living. So thank you, Ahmad. We're all individual snowflakes. We're all different people. No two are alike. And that's what makes this the world such a beautiful tapestry. Sam didn't give it a star rating. That's also always an option. Always an option. Just move along. Great runtime. I agree. 85 minutes. This style of comedy, specifically spoof comedy is what I would call it. 85 is your sweet spot. The first Naked Gun, 85 minutes. Second Naked Gun, 85 minutes. I'm not sure what the third is. I think it was even shorter. And then this one, we aimed for 85. And so I'm right there with you, Sam.
Thanks.
Well, this was fun. Thanks, Letterboxd.